Welcome to The Explainer. You know that feeling, right? That moment you feel wronged and your gut reaction is just to, well, react? Today, we're going to break down a really powerful framework that shows us a different way, a path that lets you handle conflict without losing your integrity in the process. So let's start with a situation that I think a lot of creative people can relate to. Imagine you pour everything you have into your work, and then you see your ideas, maybe even your exact words, pop up somewhere else with no credit. The principle here is pretty simple. That's not authorship. And that feeling, that sense of injustice, is often what kicks off a conflict. In that moment, you're standing at a fork in the road. You have a choice to make, and the path you decide to take, it says a whole lot about how you deal with these tough situations. Now, the source material we're digging into today uses this exact kind of authorship dispute as a case study. But here's the thing. It's not about the gossip or the drama of who did what. It's about using it to teach a much deeper lesson on communication and, integrity. Let's see how they reframe the whole problem. See, here's the key takeaway. The conflict isn't really about getting a shout out or having your name on something. The real issue is the contradiction it exposes. I mean, how can someone say they admire your work, but then be afraid to tell people where they got the ideas from? It all boils down to a question of integrity. And this is just a brilliant diagnosis of what's really going on. The argument is that the motivation isn't flattery at all. It's fear. Fear of being held accountable, fear of being compared to the original, or fear that this perfect image they've built might just come crashing down. Looking at it through that lens changes everything, doesn't it? Okay, so once you understand that, the source material lays out two fundamentally different ways you can respond when you're faced with this kind of thing. Two totally distinct paths you can walk down. So this is the choice we're talking about. On one side, you've got the path of desire. This is the reactive, emotional path, built on stuff like hearsay and assumptions. And on the other side, the path of principle. This one's grounded in solid things like verification, directness, sincerity, and accountability. Let's really break down what each of these paths looks like. All right, first up, the path of desire. Let's be honest, this is often our default setting, right? It's that immediate emotional reaction. It's super easy to slip into, but man, is it full of traps. A desire-driven response? It pretty much lives in the shadows. It feeds on hearsay, it makes you jump to conclusions about what the other person is thinking, and it often leads to what's called triangulation. That's when you talk about somebody to other people, instead of talking to them directly. This approach pretty much always makes the conflict worse, and this is huge. It can end up compromising your own integrity. But there is another way. So let's explore that alternative. A response that's built on clear principles that protect your character no matter how things turn out. The very first step on this path is making a conscious, firm choice to not play the gossip game. You just draw a line in the sand and you decide, nope, hearsay is not how I do things. This isn't being passive, it's an active decision to hold yourself to a higher standard. And this flows right from that last point. Instead of talking about people and guessing what they're thinking, this principle says you have to talk to them. Go straight to the source. It's about giving them the basic respect of a direct question and letting them answer for themselves. This whole approach is really built on this incredibly powerful foundation, which in the Islamic tradition is called tathabut. But the wisdom here is totally universal. Investigate things to figure out the truth before you decide how you feel or how you're going to react. Verify first. It's such a simple rule, but it can prevent a world of pain and misunderstanding. So, okay, this all sounds great in theory, but what does it actually look like when you're in the middle of a tense situation? Maybe one that lasts a while. Well, this framework gives us a step-by-step blueprint for how to handle it with integrity. You can really see how these steps build on each other to create what you might call a fortress of integrity. You start with verification and direct talk. You hold yourself accountable. But then, look at the harder steps: refusing to hit back, setting firm boundaries if the bad behavior continues, and then, finally, letting go of the need to control how it all ends. Following this blueprint is what keeps your response dignified and constructive. So when you boil it all down, this path is all about showing consistent character. It's defined by these hallmarks you see here: verification, directness, but it also includes things like humility and a refusal to perform your principles, meaning you do it because it's right, not because you want people to see you doing it. It's not about how you handle one single event. It's about who you are consistently over time.
So after going down these two paths, what's the big idea here? What's the ultimate takeaway from this whole framework? What's the point?
The source just nails it with this final insight. Over time, it's not any single action that matters most. It's the consistent pattern of your choices that reveals your true character and what you really prioritize. Are your choices driven by reaction and desire, or by principle and integrity? That pattern, it always speaks for itself. And that really just leaves us with a powerful question to ask ourselves. The next time we're facing a conflict, whether it's big or small, what kind of pattern will our choices reveal? Definitely something to think about. Thanks for joining me on The Explainer.